Jewish community is totally opposed to this arrangement with Iran. It's a false rumor. Not only the Shalom Center, which I'm director of, and which is a national Jewish organization, but millions, in fact, of American Jews, people have been doing the surveys, etc. Probably a majority of the grassroots of the Jewish community, in fact, support this. And a little bit about why. Some of it is about a 3,000-year history of coping with issues of war and peace. And some of it is about having what in Yiddish is called seichel, good sense, in trying to think about today. So a little bit about the past. There is a section of the Torah, the ancient biblical hearing of spiritual depth and truth, which is about the laws of war. In fact, in the cycle of Jewish reading of the Torah, it was last week's portion. And what does it say? It says, if you appear before a city to besiege it, that's what the sanctions are. They're a modern analog to besieging a city. You deny it some piece of its economic needs. That's what a siege was. So if you appear before a city to besiege it, first proclaim shalom, peace to the city, and see if you can work out terms in which your crucial needs are met. And if you can, then proclaim shalom between you and the city and end the siege. If you can, the result will be a horrendous war, says the Torah. So it is startling to read that ancient teaching in this situation, because that's where we are. Where we are is that the great powers have besieged Iran in order to make sure that it not only won't, because it says it's not interested, but can't develop nuclear weapons. And that siege has gotten the Iranians to say, well, we always said we weren't interested. In fact, the Supreme Ayatollah has issued a fatwa, a decree, saying it violates Islam to have nuclear weapons, which I think is true. I think it's also true that it violates the Torah to have nuclear weapons. So the Iranians have agreed to terms which make it impossible for them to create nuclear weapons. It would be the height not only of immoral, unethical behavior, but sheer stupidity for the Congress to defeat this arrangement, this agreement with Iran. If it were defeated,
for war.
Exactly. If it were defeated, the result would be the whole sanctions regimen, the whole possibility of restrictions on Iran's nuclear research, the whole arrangements about intrusive inspections, really undermining normal sovereignty, all that would vanish. And the result would be that people who want to make sure that Iran does not develop nuclear weapons would only have one option left. That option would be war. And even though I'm sure in the first days, as it was in Iran, the United States Army and Air Force could defeat the Iranian army, that wouldn't end it any more than it did in Iraq. In fact, if ever there were going to be reason for the Iranian people and government to change their minds, decide to make nuclear weapons, that would be it. And that would mean not just a single week of war, it would mean a permanent occupation of Iran against a population that would be furious and united and enraged. And you can try imagining what that would mean for Israel, for the whole Middle East, and for that matter, for the United States. So just as the Torah said 3,000 years ago, the choices are proclaiming shalom, and not just as a slogan, but as a detailed agreement or a disastrous war. So why is there any debate about this? Because the present, not past, and big hunks not of even the present, but the leadership, the elected Prime Minister of Israel has insisted again and again and again that this is all a mistake. And there are some Jews in Israel and in America who have the notion that rather than learning from the Torah, reinterpreted, not just taking the words as they exist, but learning from its energy and its spirit. What they think is authoritative is whatever the Prime Minister of Israel says, that's what you do. In fact, the security leadership of the State of Israel has said that Prime Minister Netanyahu's position on that is wrong, is stupid, is self-destructive.
Rabbi, the Torah was written long before there were nuclear weapons.
In that day, the equivalent for them was horse-drawn chariots. That was the big, dominant weapon that only empires like Egypt could afford. And in fact, the Torah has a whole set of provisions limiting the power of a king. And one of the key ones is an Israelite king may not pile up horses for cavalry. That's like saying don't have H-bomb in our society. And the Torah understood this was really stupid and really destructive for kings. So we now have the Prime Minister of Israel, not the general, not the Mossad, the intelligence agencies, but the Prime Minister, who we've already seen before the last election, to keep himself in power, was willing to appeal not only to violence, militarism, but even to racism against some of Israel's own citizens. So the American Jewish community has begun to say, wait a minute, this is not what makes sense for Jews, for the world, for America, for Israel. It doesn't make sense. So we really need to address the question. We inside the Jewish community and actually around the world, do we simply follow the military and militaristic policies of any government, or do we go deeper into ethics, into morals, and into seichel, into good sense? And it is clear that good sense as well as ethics and morality say now, thank God that we were able to achieve this agreement and demand that it be affirmed by the Congress